Hey, and welcome back. It's been a while since we put together a video, and as much as I love putting together social stories, I decided it was time to start putting together some videos that were informational about ABA, about the basics of it, about how you can use it. Eventually, I will have examples of different programs and how to do error correction and all of those things. But for starters, let's start with DTI, preference assessments, prompts, priming, and putting it all together. So what is DTT, DTI? DTI stands for Discrete Trial Instruction. DTT stands for Discrete Trial Training. It is a structured learning intervention technique that allows the therapist to teach a learner skills that may not be easily contrived in the natural environment or are not intrinsically rewarding. It requires a rapid pace and repetition. Parts of a discrete trial. You've got the discriminative stimulus, which is the SD, the behavior or response, feedback or consequence, and the intertrial interval, just long enough to take data and get the next trial ready. Tips for a successful discrete trial. Use back-to-back trials. Build momentum with simple tasks the learner is capable of completing to build momentum to complete the harder task at hand. Reinforce based on independence performance. High is showing effort and attending. And then there's low quality, which is a little bit, basically the opposite for the most part. Least to most prompting when the learner can show correct response to an SD at a high rate, and most to least when teaching a new skill to a learner. Prompts delivered within 3 seconds of an SD are what you are aiming for because the risk of errors continues the longer that goes. Here's an example of behavioral momentum. Our learner knows thumbs up, our learner knows clap hands, and our learner is having a hard time with wiggle fingers. So we're going to use two of those skills in order to build some momentum so that the third skill might be a little bit easier. Let's see.
Okay, get ready. Clap your hands. Show me thumbs up and wiggle fingers. Good job. Okay, get ready.
Prompt basics: verbal, visual, gestural, modeling or demonstrative, proximity, positional, and physical. So let's explore with some examples. Verbal prompts are prompts given verbally.
What is it? Apple. You say.
Apple.
Good job.
In this particular case, Apple was the visual that paired with the SD, which is what is it? And the prompt was apple from the therapist. The learner then said apple as an echoic, which was part of the verbal response.
What is it?
Visual prompts, pictures or other tangibles. So in this particular case, we are going to have a visual that pops up after the SD in order to elicit a correct response from the learner.
What can fly?
Airplane.
Nice.
So what you see here too is we've got the slime on the ground in that purple tube, and that is the reinforcer that my learner is working for in order to have it there so it's in vision or a picture of what would be in vision in order to remind them what it is they're working for. Gestural prompts: pointing, reaching, or other gestures.
Show me the yellow one. That's right. Show me.
Modeling and demonstrative prompts, showing the learner how to perform the task.
Thumbs up. Do this. Awesome. Thumbs up.
Proximity or positional prompts, moving stimuli nearer to the learner. So this is a card program, and we are going to be moving the correct answer closer to the learner so that they will get the cue that the table is the right answer.
Give me table. Nice one.
And then physical prompts, using a physical touch to elicit a correct response. Again, another card program. We'll see how it goes.
Touch the picture of the ball under the bridge. That's right. Touch.
Gaining independent responses through prompt fading. The goal for a therapist is to be able to have your learner perform a skill or task independently. We can get there by prompt fading. This is starting with a more intrusive prompt and subsequently in following trials using less intrusive prompts down the hierarchy. Before you begin, before you can start your discrete trial, your learner needs to know what they're working for. You should also have some rapport with your client. Pairing, which we will talk more about in depth in its own video. Priming and preparation. Priming is letting your learner know what to expect before something happens. Make sure to use the first then language and visuals and confirm the upcoming reinforcer. If what the learner is engaged in for reinforcement can only be accessed for X amount of time, a timer is a great tool for a therapist to use in order to visually let their learner see how much time they have left. This will reduce chances of undesirable behaviors upon transition. And gaining compliance. Some of the time, no matter who the learner, they're not going to want to do what you're asking. Now, doing a preference assessment to find out your learner's MO is a huge cue to success. But even then, there are things you can do, including make access to reinforcements or small tasks easily accessible and adjust the contingencies over time, shaping your way toward attentiveness. Reinforcement for the smallest compliance is a steady intervention until the learner shows more of a willingness to comply. So how do I find out what is reinforcing? Reinforcement is anything that increases the likelihood a behavior will occur again in the future. MO stands for motivating operant. For example, if you are running, you'll be thirsty and you'll be motivated to get a bottle or glass of water. Tip: if you are using edibles as reinforcers, make them small so they are quick for the learner to consume. This will also avoid immediate satiation with the reinforcer or edible. MOs only work if the learner finds reinforcer valuable at the particular moment in time. The best way to go about finding out what your learner is interested in working for and what the highest preferred reinforcers are is to conduct a preference assessment. So let's talk about preference assessments. Deliver the reinforcement immediately after a response. It must be available. It should be paired with social reinforcement, which should be varied. If the response was prompted, provide some reinforcement. If the response was independent, provide more reinforcement, that grade A super throw a party reinforcement. Follow the schedule of reinforcement as written by your BCBA. The ratios of demands to reinforcers may vary. One way to conduct a preference assessment is to interview the caregiver or learner.
So what does Peter like to do for fun?
Mostly reads picture books.
Okay.
Free operant preference assessment, used to determine what items your learner interacts with the most. So in this case, we have a bunch of our learners' favorite toys here. We're going to see what they are most interested in right now and see what holds the highest MO so that we can use that when we're looking for things for them to work for. Multiple stimulus preference assessment can be used with or without replacement. Doing this eliminates less reinforcing items. So you'll see in the video, I have a little note there with the items that are listed. They're all pretty reinforcing for the client, and I'm going to put them out in a set of 4 and have the client pick one at a time, 4 times. I'm going to write down which each of the things that they picked, and that's going to help me to be able to determine what is it that we're looking for their MO.
one. Thank you. My turn. Pick one. Thanks. Pick one. Great picking. One more time. Pick one. Awesome. Thank you. Here you go. Let's play with the bat.
It's not always that your learner is going to be picking the same item every time, but it could happen. Single and paired stimulus preference assessment. Paired stimulus preference assessments are presenting two potential reinforcers at once, and a single stimulus preference assessment is presenting one potential reinforcer at a time. And now we're putting it all together. This is an example of fading out prompts from most intrusive to least intrusive and providing high social reinforcement for the independent response at the end.
Okay, give me bird. Good job. That's giving me bird. Let's keep your hand back here. Now try this. Do this. Give me bird. That's giving me bird. Nice job. Give me bird. Awesome. You gave me bird. Give me bird. That's amazing. Ready? Give me bird. Awesome job!
Okay, I'll admit that was a little loud, but when your learner finally does get something independent you've been working on and it's been really hard, that's going to be your natural reaction sometimes. Just keep in mind that not all kiddos or not all learners are going to respond really well to that super loud social reinforcement. So you have to kind of know your learner and figure out what it is that they like and what they can tolerate for social reinforcement as well.
Okay.
Now you know the basics of DTI. Videos on natural environment training, token economies, pairing, error correction, and different types of programs, and more will be coming your way soon. So stay tuned and thank you for watching.